fruit all the time.
Me also not. I mean, in the morning I have a fruits bowl.
Yeah,
In the
yeah,
evening I have a fruit smoothie.
yeah.
And then the main meal is then for lunch. And it could be
Yes,
vegetables, salad, a piece of meat or chicken
I
or
think
fish.
Dana was saying that we could start doing that if you want to start incorporating a piece of protein.
Mm-hmm,
You can either at lunch or at dinner, whatever suits you.
mm-hmm,
For example, for me, like when I started like adding it later on in the dinner, when it's was quite late, I started getting the night sweats and all that. So she had said like, okay, have it earlier so that your body starts digesting it
mm-hmm.
faster. So maybe, yeah, try. I mean, I think like the total fruit detox to continue on it for a long period of time, maybe it's going to be a little bit hard, but doing this like three quarters fruit and quarter
Something
with,
else.
yeah, something else. I mean, you know, like it was Eid, for example. So I went to see my kids and everything. I had meat.
Mm-hmm.
I had roe. I don't know if you guys, if you know roe.
Oh, yes, I do.
خلاص, I had roe.
Hi, lady.
It's enough. I need to have a piece of roe to feel the Eid.
Hi, ladies. How's everybody doing?
Hi,
Hi,
Dana.
Dara.
Hi.
Yeah, great conversation.
Well,
I
we started. Sorry.
no,
Go
go
on.
ahead. Go ahead, Maria.
No, I mean, what we were talking about is that, I mean, now we have been doing the fruits detox.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's good in the summer because it's very hot
Yes.
outside.
Yeah.
So, and then I was wondering, shall we continue like this till, let's say, September, October, and then when autumn comes, winter, then we have more of the warm things like the
Yeah.
veggies and
Yes.
potatoes and so on, and less on the fruit side.
A fruit detox, remember, is and especially if you're doing a liquid fruits, but fruits in general, is one of the deepest detoxes that you can do. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really great for anybody to do it for at least a few weeks every year. There are people who are hardcore, what's called fruitarians, and they've been like this for life. A few of the ones that I follow have been like this for 15 years, 20 years, have never, according to them, never put a piece of protein in their body ever since making this decision to become a fruitarian. So, in terms of can the body live like this? Can the body function like this? Yes, it can. Do you need to continue to eat like this if you don't want to? No. The only instances where I would say 100% you go fruitarian or all raw is if you've got, God forbid, cancer, because that is the way to heal cancer naturally, specifically cancer. Everything else in terms of chronic illness can be done with a combination of fruits and vegetables, raw and cooked. But cancer specifically, it needs to be all fruits, a little bit of vegetables, but all fruits, all raw until you're healed. And then once you get to that point, you maintain, your healed state. Obviously, you don't go back to the processed foods. You don't really go back to a lot of protein. So this is very personal. Whether you choose how long you choose to go on fruit detoxing for depends on your condition, depends on your personal wants, desires, what makes you feel good, but you can function on just fruits if that's what you want. The idea that we can do fruits much more easily in summer, of course, because our body does, outside of healing very, very chronic conditions like cancer, our body does follow the seasons. We do crave more cooling foods in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely take advantage of that. And naturally, you're going to find yourself, once the weather warms up, you want foods that warm you up. So you might keep a little bit of fruits during that season, but naturally you want more soups, more cooked vegetables, more potatoes. So if you have no serious conditions where we have to say, right, even if it is winter, we're going to power through with all raw, then definitely follow the seasons in terms of warmth and cooling off with the fruits and vegetables. And then when you come to reintroduce animal protein, if you choose to do that, like Dina was saying, you do sort of need to play around a little bit and see the type, the frequency, and the time of day that doesn't trigger if at all, triggers any symptoms for you.
Okay, thank you, Donna.
You're welcome. Welcome, ladies. How's everybody doing this week after the Eid? How was the Eid? Was it a massacre or was it okay?
Quiet. Yeah, it was okay for me.
Food-wise, it was all right and manageable?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So no questions about that, about food, about recovering from Eid food, about detoxing, nothing along those lines. All right. Wonderful. Okay. Today we're going to start to talk about, I've put them together, but they're technically two separate primary foods. But for me, you really can't separate them because once you discover your passion, it will spark joy. These are really two of, I believe, the hardest to achieve in terms of primary food, in terms of the things that feed your soul. For what I believe are a couple of main reasons that typically, as we get older, the things that we believe can bring us joy, or things that we believe we can be passionate about, we temper it down with reality. So we get in our own way of following things that we might be passionate about or pursuing things that might bring us joy, because as soon as we start to think about it, then our knee-jerk reaction is, well, I don't have time. That's not realistic. I'm too old for this. Who am I to do this? Nobody lives this way. Nobody does this way. But there are more real-life pressing realities that I need to be focused on. The other really challenging thing when it comes to passions and joy is, unlike other parts of your health that we've been working on since January, it's so hard to quantify. It's so subjective. There's almost no way for us to say, are you actually experiencing joy? Is this actually your passion? I think the only other primary food that can be quite subjective like this is spirituality. But even spirituality has a few quantifiables. It could be, do you do your prayers 5 times a day? Do you go to church once a week? Do you do your fasts during the year? There are some things that we can say, right, I'm doing this and this and this for my spirituality. With health, obviously, it's about symptoms, no symptoms, I'm feeling great, I'm not feeling great. There's lab tests. There's ways for us to say, right, you are healthy or you aren't healthy. Even with relationships, they're either working or they're not. There's ways for you to see that. So it just makes it a lot more challenging with movement. Obviously, there's ways to see I'm working out, I'm spending time at the gym, or I'm not. But when it comes to, let me think about my joy, let me think about my passion, it can be all over the place for all of you. And there isn't one thing that we can say is the right way or the better way, or the way that science has discovered is the way to be joyful, or what is the way to find your passion. So if you found yourself in the last, since I posted the module last week, still sort of trying to figure it out, or still in the process of just letting the idea percolate, that's probably where you need to be right now, because most of the time when we don't even give ourselves that permission, our desires are the things that we're probably passionate about. But as soon as a desire bubbles up, you squash it. We squash it because most of our desires can seem to be very much over the top. I want to do more. I want to be more. I want to live better. I want to have more. I want to quit my job. I want to just sit at home and paint. I want to be able to travel more. So many of you have said that that's really what you'd love to be doing with your life. But what's the next thought right away once you proclaim this desire or this thing that will bring you joy? But I have work, but it's too expensive. What am I going to do with my kids? Nobody actually lives with this way. I don't know anybody who travels more than once a year. You'll come up with all the excuses instead of simply just allowing yourself to sit with the feeling of potentially, not even like of following through with an action, just the potential of your joy, what could be joyful for you and what could be passion for you. So as you go through last week's module and this week's module, the questions are very, very basic on the surface level, but I don't want you to answer them quickly, especially when it comes to the questions this week, like what were your childhood? What did you love to do most when you were, had no responsibilities, when you didn't have to think about time constraints, when you didn't have to think about financial constraints, when as women, we weren't told, this is proper, this is not proper, da aib, da mish aib. What did you actually love to do that you could just lose yourself in terms of time? What is it that you used to just do when you were younger that made you forget about time, made you forget about food, made you forget about people, where you completely were lost in the joy of doing whatever it is that brought you that joy? We want to be able to at least bring ourselves back to that bandwidth where we allow ourselves to think of that. And everything we've been doing up until this point has sort of been putting the pieces of the puzzle together for us. In terms of physical health, when you are not weighed down by all the inflammatory foods, right, physically weighed down, you do two things. You clear out the brain fog, you clear out the clutter in your brain so that you can really tap into what may potentially light you up. It's very difficult to do that when we've got brain fog, when we've got fatigue, when we've got aches and pains, when we have a condition. That's always going to be your priority. The body's always going to prioritize surviving over thriving. So we always need to deal with that part first. Let's get you out of survival mode. Let's get you out of where the body is really, really worried about you because your physical state is not where it needs to be. It doesn't sort of have the luxury of thinking of joy and passion if you're waking up every single day and you're in pain and you can't get out of bed. So we need to focus on that first. Get rid of the physical constraints, because even if your mind starts to open up and the pathways to joy start to open up, if you are not able to physically get up and do the things that bring you joy, then you're back at the same point where you started. So that is very important. That's why we work on health first, movement first, getting the body physically out of its slumber, getting it out of it's just hibernation. That's one of the ways that you raise your dopamine levels and start to feel better. When you remove all the inflammatory foods, your body can start to produce naturally, even without you even trying, can start to produce your serotonin and the rest of your happy hormones, because those are produced inside your gut, about 90% of them. So no matter how much you may be trying, if you were consistently eating the inflammatory foods over and over and over and over again, your happy hormone factory, your digestive tract, wasn't even able to support you in producing these hormones, at least to get you started on this journey. So little by little, we've been working on the physical and the mental, clearing the cobwebs, clearing the inflammation, helping your digestive system jumpstart its production of serotonin and your happy hormones, getting you moving, getting you more in tune, getting you off social media, which, sucks the joy out of everything you could possibly do, especially depending on who you're following and what kind of influence you've got from there, so that we can finally reach a point where we can say, right, I've cleaned everything out, decluttered everything out, and now my body's flowing properly, I'm moving easily, I'm sleeping better, I feel great, I might be coming off medications. It's time for me to take this to the next level. And the next level is thinking about your passions and thinking about your joy. So let me know, ladies, what has started to come up for you on this part of your journey? Have you allowed yourself, first of all, have you really allowed yourself to think about, as ridiculous as it might be, what your passion might be that it could spark joy? Remember also, and I'm putting this in the group this week, we think about the big things that we can work on that will keep us motivated and on a sort of long-term path to joy. But let's also not forget the little things that you can do every day to spark joy. So there's two paths to this, and I believe both are equally important. There's small things that you can do for yourself, and some of those, we've been doing, like the flowers, like setting the table, making sure your house is nice and neat. The music that I've been sharing, I always find that music is a super easy, quick way to completely change your mood in literally 2 minutes. So there's that. And then there's the longer passion, desire, the motivation that's going to keep you going, because it's a thing that really is more than anything, is the thing that is who you are. Why do you jump out of bed in the morning? What gets you to jump out of bed in the morning? If you're still asking yourself, that's a great question.
I think personally, hi Dana, it's Dina.
Hi, Tina.
I think personally for me right now at this point in my life, especially that I'm gonna decide to quit my job, is to find a purpose. A purpose that is gonna really like bring me joy, I guess, you know. I like, again, joy for me right now at this point is very it's not tangible, right? I cannot say, oh, if I do this it's gonna bring me joy, because I've been trying things here and there, and yes, it brings me joy, but I find that this joy is like temporary, like it's just momentary kind of joy. I'm joy while I'm in the moment itself, but then it's not something it goes on. And then I just keep reminding myself that, well, like you were saying about one of it's like what is it? The journaling. Journaling about joy, journaling of gratitude, journaling of this and that. Then this brings you back to, or brings me back to the fact that, okay, I was joyful when I was on holiday or doing yoga or helping this person, but then how can I continue? That's my issue right now. That's really my issue. Not my issue, but I just need to find a purpose, honestly.
So here's something also important to understand with the joy and any other feeling, really. It's not going to be constant. It's not going to be a continuous state of joy. The same way that you wouldn't say, you know, you wouldn't say I'm going to be in a continuous state of sadness or a continuous state of boredom. We have to have that pendulum sweep back and forth, right? So if you feel like you're finding small moments of joy and then they're over, that doesn't mean that you're failing at discovering your joy or experiencing joy. Discovering and experiencing joy is not about forcing ourselves to be in a continuous state of joy. We wouldn't have all the other emotions. If you remember the emotional scale I shared with you last week, we wouldn't have all of these emotions if we were only meant to stay in one state of emotions. The problem is we've become so disconnected generally as human beings that joy somehow seems to be this really, really far off thing that we can never attain. So there's the other extreme. So if you have actually been able to touch it or to figure out, like, here's the thing that brings me joy, and I can feel it for an hour, I can feel it for 5 minutes, you're on your way. We're not in a gray area here where it's difficult for you, or you're not able to. Some people laugh at the idea when I say, can we tap into your joy? It's such a far removed concept for them. So don't be deterred, and don't feel like you're doing something wrong if your moments of joy they're not 24/7. They're not supposed to be 24/7. You also mentioned something really important that can help you. In the same way that we try to think of these things that brought us joy when we were, younger, when we were children, going and traveling and being on holiday is one of those things, right? When you are away from your responsibilities, away from the routine, away from day to day, that brings us joy. So this is one way, sort of a shortcut, right? What is it that you do on holiday that you can bring back with you? I mean, you can't bring back, the hotel or the resort or the room service, or all of that, right? But maybe there's something about that experience that you can bring back with you and create that same feeling at home. Maybe not every single day. Maybe you would create it on the weekends, but think about those moments that bring you joy on vacation with, when you're outside of your routine, and how you can bring that into your day to day.
Okay.
In
Yeah.
terms of your purpose, okay, this is the easiest question, is what would have you jumping out of bed? Where you go to sleep at night and you don't want to, and you just want to hurry up and get your sleep over with so you can wake up the next day and go do that thing.
Yeah. I don't know. This is the question of my life right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have to have the answer right now, but this is it. Like when you think about what would I literally be like going on vacation, like you're so excited, you go to sleep at night, you can't wait to wake up in the morning to get on your flight to go.
Right.
That feeling. Like I can't wake up. I just can't wait to wake up. I can't wait for nighttime to finish so I can wake up and do this. It could be your big purpose. It could be something simple that gives you joy, not this big project, but it's always about the thing that is so exciting we can't wait for it to happen.
Yeah.
So let that feeling, like get yourself into that feeling and let that guide you. Let the feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll work on that. Thank you, Dana.
You're welcome. Anybody else have a question or a share?
I think like what makes me like get up every morning, I think it's one thing every day, which is hoping that today will be better than tomorrow. Yesterday, I mean. Okay, just in the hope that today I will feel better, things will get better, whatever I'm thinking about or worrying me would somehow be resolved. I think it's that feeling in particular that makes me sort of like get up every morning, just get up from bed. As for the one thing about when I was young, I mean, I can think of like, yes, of course, like I so much, I can't wait for the morning to come, just to be on the beach. I mean, I think it's this again, it's the surrounding, Dana, again, I mean, trying to replicate or recreate, a holiday sort of feeling or status, I think it's a bit challenging because you cannot actually, transport or or move the actual surrounding, but I think it's food. Think about again, holiday. Okay, you eat good food. For example, like I mean my two favorite destinations, even three, like Spain, Greece, Cyprus, is the food. So I think what I take away from there is taking pleasure or enjoying, a dish or, or something that, tastes similar to what I had on holiday, if that makes a sense.
Yeah.
I think that is what, help maybe put you in a mood closest to that of a holiday. What else, yes.
That's definitely, yeah, like I was saying, you can't bring the hotel home, you can't bring the restaurants or the rooms, so you can't do any of that, but you can bring in elements of it. You can bring little elements of the joy. You can think about how are you different on holiday? Who are you on holiday versus who are you when you're home? And how can you bring a little bit more of who you are on holiday back when you're at home?
Yeah, it's more about, again, with the holiday, I mean, I know I am more positive.
Yeah.
Much more positive, I mean, it's the same problems, but it's just that I shift you know, my perspective, you know, or I shift the way I look at the problem. Okay, so instead of focusing على ال half of the thing that is empty, you know, half of the glass, لا, I look at, but I tell myself it's 50-50. Yes, it could not, maybe it will not happen, but maybe it will, you know, happen as well. فبلاقي نفسي more positive يعني as an general outlook على يعني life and universe. I tend to become more positive, and I think, I don't know why, really. I mean, yeah, I become more positive. That's for sure.
And you don't feel you're doing anything consciously to become more positive? It's just, I got on a plane and landed in a
no, I think I'm gonna borrow your expression. I think يعني unconsciously I find myself creating and making space, you know, to enjoy even the little niceties, you know, of life. Like, oh, look, this is that. Oh, look, this would be, you know, and it's a very small thing, you know, it's a tiny thing. But I find and I have the space, you know, to embrace it and to indulge in it. You know, I don't think, I don't create, you know, an equal space, you know, when I am not on holiday. I think that may be the problem.
And you don't indulge at home?
Not as much as the holiday, of course, you know, like I have to keep sort of nudging myself, you know, or like, you know, or reminding myself, you know, things could be better, or no, you're doing great, or, you know, well done on this, well done, you know, I have to be very self-conscious to remind myself of that more than when I'm on holiday. It's like the default mood, mode is, you know, positivity, you know, all around.
And you don't think you can do that when you're home? Like just have a default mode?
It's more challenging. I mean, I can do it, but it takes يعني more effort with more self-work. Okay. And I have to be يعني really focusing to do it, to create it, to feel it. You know, it doesn't happen as spontaneous or as sort of, natural as when on holiday, for example.
Why do you think that is, though? Because at home you have responsibilities of being a mom, a wife, your job.
Yes, I think it's like, when you're home, it's like you're back to reality, kind of, you know, like to the real world, kind of. Okay. So you think about, I don't know, again, يعني, or maybe I know, yes, outlook, يعني, or the lens I'm looking through بتبقى بقى darker, you know, more grim. Yes.
Just remember the thought model. These are just thoughts.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Just thoughts. And a quote that I come across a lot that I think is really worth considering is, it's a question / quote. How can you create a life that you don't need to escape from? Because all of us, when we go on holiday, right? All of us have some version of what Amira is saying. All of us, right? The minute we're there, we're happier, we're lighter, we're freer. You know, you enjoy the simple, silly things, you know, that might really be quite insignificant to the people, you know, maybe who live in this country, you know. So how can you create a life? I mean, we're always going to want to travel. We're always going to want to explore. I believe it's part of human nature to want to do that. But how can we create more or less a life that we don't need to escape from? We don't need to travel. We'll travel because we want to. We'll travel and we'll, you know, explore because it's, you know, it's a learning experience. It brings so much to our lives. But can you do that without feeling like you're going to go back to something that is less than the experience?
Yeah, I think yes. I mean, as I said, I mean, for me, I need to keep reminding myself, you know, because I tend to sort of, you know, fall into this pit of things will not work out, whatever, you know, those things might be. I know myself, and I need a self-talk, you know, where to remind myself, no, things are not, you know, as grim, or as you know, open your eyes, you know, there are lots of good things. Okay, or to remind myself, like, remember that time when things were really, you know, tight and bad, and hey, you know, you came out of it. Okay, it just yes ال self talk وال self work or inner work ده I have to do it. يعني I know myself, I have to keep doing it. Otherwise لا ممكن I tend to know a slope a bit. Yes.
And are there things that you can clear out of your day-to-day that might be adding to this, feeling of grimness, feeling of heaviness?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to admit it, but yes, social media, I find إنه حقيقي depressing. Okay. And I could see that, yes, like addiction, kind of things. Okay. So yes, that is a thing. I mean, even, my husband tells me, like, you spend too much time on your phone, يا أميرة. Okay. طبعا I try وإنه يعني argue back إنه no, it's because I'm away from home. I need to know what's happening, back home, on every level. بس طبعا يعني sorry يعني for excuse my French, this is whatever. مش حقيقة. Okay. That's a big BS, sorry. Okay. It's not. الحقيقة إنه I know that إنه if there is a thought that is يعني upsetting me, so I tend to escape it عن طريق إنه أنا indulge myself في social media. So I know that. But yes, I mean, definitely this is one thing. Yes, I need to. I mean, and I'm trying, and I did unfollow lots of people I was following. Okay. I used to be very active on Twitter. I find Twitter بقى very, again, frustrating لأنه my tolerance for not opposing يعني الفيوز اللي هي من 300 years ago, I don't have much tolerance for. I find myself getting worked up when I read it.
Yeah.
So yes. So today, for example, I did not spend any time on Twitter, and I'm very happy about that.
Amazing. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Amazing. Yeah, social media is addictive, and it is an escape. So, the same way that we might, you have an emotion or you have a thought you just don't want to deal with, same way we might use food or people might use drugs. Social media has become the new way to escape. The new escapism is through social media. So it is a hard one. It's a hard one, and it's so easy to justify. I can definitely relate to that because I'll just tell myself, I need it for work. I need work. I have to be here all the time because I need work. It's work. My clients are here. They're online. Da, da, da. So it's so, and you literally sound like addicts. We're just justifying our need for the constant hit. So, and it can be, depending again on who you're following, what you're listening to, whether it frustrates you because there's ideas there that you don't agree with, things you wish people weren't thinking anymore, or whether it's watching people doing things maybe that you want to do and you can't do. You might think you're looking at them because it's pretty, it's enjoyable, it's inspirational, but at a deeper level, it's reminding you that I don't get to do this, or I'm not doing this, or I wish I was doing this. None of which is long-term going to help you curate a life. So definitely social media is a big one. So have you thought about, Amira, what would make you jump out of bed potentially, besides hopefulness for the day?
I cannot say, again, I don't want to sound but I don't think I have something that gets me like jumping out of bed. الحقيقة لا. No. I don't have this feeling of, oh yes, let's go do this, no, I don't have this. But on the other hand, actually, it's when I go to bed, kind of. Yes, I have this thing when I go to bed, and the first thing I do when I just rest my head on the pillow, I talk out loud, again, I'm talking to myself, maybe talking to ربنا, thank you, as it's just a bliss that I am in my bed, Okay, I am in my room.
Yeah.
Okay, it feels good. I love it. I love this room. Okay, and I'm happy for that. I'm grateful for that.
That's a moment of joy.
Yes.
Yeah.
دي عندي يعني honestly yes انه at night I have this thing I enjoy انه 4 5 6 seconds اللي I say in them oh I'm so grateful, oh yes this feels good, alhamdulillah alhamdulillah alhamdulillah, so I keep just so yes
Yes.
but I don't have it in the morning like yes let's jump out of bed. لا.
Yes. And so that's a great example because when you do that, and again, I can relate to this very much. It's such a peaceful, relaxing moment, and that short connection, of gratitude, and you thank God for that, and then you say, and for me, it's like the next step is, oh, I get to dream whatever I want to dream now. That is a moment of joy. So it's those things that we want to. You might be doing this, you might have been doing this for many, many years, but not aware that this is actually a small moment of joy, and to be thankful for that, instead of, we people think that joy needs to be this big hoopla, right? Like you're jumping and dancing around every single day and that's joy. It's not. It's about this, right? It's about waking up and you're hopeful for the day. It's about listening to a 2-minute piece of music and it just uplifts your heart. And yes, it's also about the long-term, pursuing of something that you love. But I think if we do nothing else, if we can start to recognize these small moments, and it's like what, 2 minutes before you go to sleep,
Yes.
and that this actually works to reset your nervous system. It lowers cortisol before you go to bed. It helps you to have deeper sleep. It helps you to have more restful sleep, not as restless. That's what we're doing with joy. Joy is that feeling. It doesn't have to be continuous, but it's like little tiny moments that help to reset your nervous system. Become very conscious of them.
Yes.
And if you don't have them, then like the suggestions I give you in the modules, then start to create these little moments, small moments. Anybody else can relate to what Amira said or have a different share or anything similar or questions?
I missed. Hi, Dana. This is Nermeen.
Hi, Nermeen. How are you?
Hi, how are you? How's everyone?
Good.
I missed the beginning of the call, but are we sharing thoughts about our checklist of joy?
Yes.
This is what we're doing?
We're sharing that. We're asking questions, sharing challenges. I don't know if you're here for the part where I asked, what is the thing in your discovery of what could bring you joy, or what could potentially be your passion in life? What is the thing that would have you jump out of bed first thing in the morning? We'd be so excited that you couldn't even sleep the night before because you can't wait to wake up in the morning and do that.
Okay, actually, this was hard. Although the title of the week document was joy and passion, and I thought, okay, that's a nice, easy one. But actually, it was hard for me. It was the hardest exercise of them all.
Yeah.
To go to that place where you actually just really think about what brings you joy. It was hard for me, but I started creating my list. It took me a while. Maybe I just wrote some down. Yes, just yesterday.
Okay.
I think for me it's actually being outdoor. Being outdoor, being in nature. I think that's the most thing that brings me joy. And reading. But I really had to think very deep about that, and it was a surprise for me because usually you should be in touch of the things that bring you joy. It should comes to you naturally, but if you have to think that hard, This means that that there is clutter.
Yes. I did, if you weren't at the beginning of the call, I did say that this is one of the hardest, that they're the two of the hardest primary foods for us to understand and begin to fulfill. And one of the reasons is they can be very, there are a lot of challenges that might come up to what you think brings you joy. They're incredibly subjective. They're so different. Like there's no way to quantify what it is. There's no way to know for sure. And just because of, the way we live, modern life, duties, responsibilities, we have become very disconnected. So it's the fact that you're saying it's difficult, that's not surprising. It is actually very difficult.
I will share and
It
then
is
we go.
very
Is
difficult
this okay
to
for you?
tap into, because most of the time we're just programmed in what's right, what needs to be done, what's proper, what is realistic, what sort of follows the flow. Does it follow, education, work, marriage, kids? Like, does it follow the sort of mainstream, or it doesn't? And so by doing all the things that we should do all the time, we really do lose sight of the things that we want to do. And we lose the ability to, when we have a desire, to really sit with that desire and not make ourselves feel guilty for that desire. We do the opposite. We make ourselves feel guilty. We make it seem irrelevant. We make it seem unimportant. We make it seem like it's just, having just a fleeting, temporary, moment of insanity. Even we downplay it so much that when you're actually asked to, okay, just really sit down now and think about what brings you joy and what could be something you're passionate about, everybody gets stuck. Because it hasn't been a priority in it for anybody ever. Priority is, things that make sense, responsibilities, work, things that are part of our day-to-day. Passions and joy, they seem like really frivolous things. Like, you really have to have a lot of time on your hands in order to be able to think about joy and passion and all of that. So if any of you are finding this difficulty, and it's not surprising if you are, don't, again, make yourself feel bad about that or wonder about that. You have not been given the tools, and if you have, they've been squashed for the most part, to be able to think freely, completely freely, about your joys and your passion.
Mm-hmm. So it's natural that one is challenged to pin down what's that's very interesting, because usually it would take the least priority in your to-do list.
Yeah. Yeah, your joy, what brings you joy. Like, if you make a list of everything that you have to do every single day, is there anything on it that brings you joy? Generally speaking.
Yes, actually, for me, there are two parts, and also like you and Amira, it's the night thing. It's the time when actually you have this moment where everything is done, and you have like few minutes where you just reflect, and you go into your space. That's, for me, is something actually most of the time I look forward to.
You were
Actually,
tapped into that. You were tapped into that as a little source of daily joy.
sorry?
So you've been already tapped into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I
always look forward to. I always look forward to that. I always look forward to that time. And the early mornings. Because I wake up quite early.
Okay.
And the early mornings because it's me time as well.
All right. Yeah.
It's me time as well. And since I was doing that exercise, or trying to do that exercise, and realize this outdoor thing, because I like walking and outdoor and reading. So actually, when I wake up early in the morning, I started to do my walking then. I go outdoor, even if it's like 5:30 or 6 a.m. I actually started, it's been a few days. I've been doing my outdoor and walking and reading then at the beginning of the day, because I realized that's really my joy. I couldn't write anything else on the list apart from those three: outdoor, walking, and reading.
You don't need any more than that, right? That's it. You've figured it out. And this is why when people think that joy is supposed to be this big thing, right? It's not. It's the thing that literally makes you feel peace inside, I would say, what brings you a sense of peace inside. And there are some things that can be really uplifting. A walk, just movement can be very uplifting. So I'm really I love that you figured out that this is right. It's those two things, and let me do them in the morning, because then that sets you up for the rest of your day with this great feeling. It might not last the whole day. It's going to be interjections of life and work and people and problems and stuff. But you've started your day up here, way up here, in terms of what it does to your hormones, in terms of it bringing down cortisol, in terms of the physiological, the biochemical reactions. You've started off your day in a much positive, more empowered way, let's say, than if you had ignored that this is what brings you joy.
Oh, yeah, it's an interesting exercise.
Yeah, definitely. Nihed, go ahead.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Well, my favorite time of the day is going to bed too.
Yeah.
But
I wonder why.
There's something about going into bed, kid, and just relaxing. It's something else.
Yeah.
No, but right now, I'm really enjoying. I'm taking a sewing course. انت عارفة I'm really into the crochet and sewing and all this hand and painting. This is what brings me real joy, is to be able to take these courses, and I really look forward to every Sunday and Tuesday when I get in my car and drive over to my course. I'd like to be doing this all the time and not have any other responsibilities. I don't want to cook, I don't want to clean, I don't want to do anything else. Just I would love to have some just me time to do whatever I want. This would bring me absolute joy.
So this is the thing we could say, that if we said to you today, Nihad, you know what? You don't need to go work anymore. That's it. It's done. You don't need to be a teacher anymore, right? And you can wake up every morning and sew or crochet. Would that be the thing that you couldn't wait to wake up for?
Yeah, that's a dream come true.
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could definitely, as a start, do what Nirmeen does and wake up and have a couple of hours. I don't know how long it takes Nirmeen in the morning before she goes to work, but she made that a priority. Like, this is what I love to do. This is what makes me feel good before I go and attend to my responsibilities, being a mom, being a wife, being a cook, being a teacher. Before I go and do all of that, let me fulfill what brings me joy.
Yeah. Oh, no. Sorry.
Are you going to share with us some of your sewing projects and your things?
Actually, in a minute I can bring what I was working on today. It's not something for me. It was we are learning how to draw Leia patron.
Okay.
I took my measurements and I drew the patron, and then I cut it out, and now I just have to sew it on. That was my homework. I did most of it already. I'll go and pick it up. Show it to you in a few minutes. Yeah, once.
So this is sewing, like making clothes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the third time for me to take the same course. I took it a long time ago in 1993, and then I had my Ismail, my first baby, and I got busy bringing up the kids, and then I took it again a few years ago. But to be honest, the lady was not very good, and wasn't. She didn't teach us properly. She just كده كروتتنا شوية.
Yeah.
I found this new course for التجمع. It's double the time.
Okay.
So I thought, well, maybe this time I will actually be able to make a few things, and this time I feel even my attitude is different. Yani I'm feeling more courageous, but to try things out. I guess our teacher is a good he's a good guy, and he's encouraging us to go home and practice what we've been learning, and he says he's giving us the space ان احنا to make mistakes and then to repeat again وكده يعني yeah. So that's my go-to for the time being يعني.
Love it. So is it safe to say and you also, Nermeen, is it safe to say that when you give yourself the space and time to wake up early and to walk and to read and to take the sewing class, you find like you lose track of yourself, you lose track of time?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's it right there. Amazing. We can't wait to see. Amazing. Sandra, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
So I have a big list actually of things that I love doing.
Amazing.
But at the same time, I will tell you, I will walk you through it. But I mean, like, bottom line is that my brain puts, like obstacles to it. But I do have a list.
Okay.
Like I love during summertime, I love going to the beach early before anyone wakes up. It's just it's no one there, just me.
Yeah.
And I take my journal with me and a book to read. So that's my favorite thing to do.
Okay.
I love walking in nature. Something that I learned in Canada, like walking for hours.
Yeah.
And I love rowing, swimming, doing puzzles, drawing. These are the things that I really like. I love calligraphy. I love taking classes. I like learning new things. But every single time I take something or I do something that I enjoy very much, it's like, then what? What are you gonna do with it? How is it useful? Or you took so many courses and classes, and then you don't do anything with it. So and so on. This is how I talk to myself. So even with drawing, or I do portraits, but they're so I'm really into the hyper realism. So I'm really meticulous about every single details and them looking really perfect. So even that, I'm enjoying. I love it, but I'm not letting it. I'm not letting go. I'm just super controlling over every single details and how perfect it needs to look at the end. So I have a mix of things.
Well, I mean, if that's the style that you're learning or your style that you're after, there's so many different art forms. So if you're very much into the realist, everything needs to resemble, what it looks like in real life, then there's not a lot of letting go, right? Your intention is not to draw abstractly. So
yeah, I don't understand abstract art.
Right. So so there's from what I'm listening and hearing you say, there's no issue there, because that is the goal. The goal is to be as detailed and as intricate and as close to reality as possible. So why do you need to let go?
Because I want to do it. It's something that I actually seeking now. Even when I was talking, when we were talking last time about that book, this is actually one of the things that I want to work on. I don't want to be even with the things I love or the people I love. I don't want to be in a control freak. I want to just let it flow.
The general way of being that you want to pursue.
Yeah.
Generally. Okay. Well, I mean, the artwork might be your gateway to that, right? Like your self-expression in art might be the way that you start to let go in other parts of your life. Could be the other way around too, but you don't understand abstract art. But what if you gave yourself a chance with abstract art?
Yeah, maybe it's just that's what I was saying. I love so many things. It's just my brain is stopping them from actually enjoying them even more. even with swimming, if I went, you know, if I'm swimming, I need to perfect the way I'm swimming, my style, my the way, you know, so the execution, my time, everything. So I ruin things for me, you know. So that's what I'm saying. I do have a list of things that I enjoy, but then I ruin them for me.
Define ruined.
Meaning that I put, like, you know, like when you have this critical parent inside of you, and it's really loud, so I can actually, it bothers me. Like I can't keep it quiet, but so it's there, and the voice is really loud. You know, like criticizing myself or pushing myself to do better, but it's sometimes too hard. I just want to be, you know.
So then what happens after that? Do you stop doing the activity? So you'll stop swimming,
So
stop learning?
most of the things growing up, I stopped doing them. But the list that I just gave you, this is the list that I now have.
Okay.
The art, it comes and goes. So sometimes it's like, no, this is not good. This is not good enough. And I stop. And it takes me some time to go back. But the swimming, I did not stop. No, it's always there.
Okay. So what do you think it would take for you to just be able to do
sharing with you guys
just for the sake of enjoyment? That's it. And be done with it. And it doesn't have to serve any other purpose in your life besides bring you enjoying the process.
I came, like, I'm now with peace with myself, like that I don't need to take a course for the sake of actually doing something with it.
Right.
I'm taking new courses because I love that process. That's something that actually excites me, that learning.
Yeah.
So I can't even tell you the amount of things that I've learned. Like I've learned Braille. I've learned, you know, like photography, for example, like so many things that has nothing to do with each other. But like, anyways, I love it. I just, I'm enjoying just learning. So that's something that I tell myself, that this is what I want to do. I don't need to do anything with it, but then I feel guilty, for example, about Braille. Like, you learn something, you can, you know, you can help other people learn it or do something, or I can actually transcribe books. So back in Canada, I used to work with students who are visually impaired. So a student will give me actually a letter in Braille, and then I would transcribe it in English. They're both in English, I mean, but I mean, like I will in handwritten. So I love doing that as well. Like, so, but I can't put the puzzle together.
Where is, I think you just have been doing that without realizing, but you're just feeding your soul. Like, do we stop eating just because we've had one meal?
Yeah, for me, yeah, but yeah.
I mean, okay, yeah, you're different stuff. Maybe that's related. We'll have to look into that. But no, but like, just think about it. You might skip a meal, right? But you're going to wake up the next day and you're going to have a meal, right? So we don't not have lunch and dinner because we're done with breakfast, right? We need to keep feeding our physical. So why not continuously feed your soul? Your soul called out to you to go learn Braille. So you go learned it. Done. Next, your soul needs to be fed again, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually, remember, we call those primary foods. So feeding our souls is actually more important than physical secondary food. So maybe if you can just start to reframe that for yourself, if you can just kind of put the analogy together that in the same way that we can't live off one meal, why should we limit ourselves from feeding our soul just one thing? And being done with it. Why should I just be complete that I have learned, I go swimming and I've reached the highest level of swimming, and then think to myself, okay, and then feel bad about pursuing something that's totally unrelated. Our soul seeks beauty, and it seeks art, and it seeks music, and it seeks learning, and it seeks, you know, literature, and it seeks experiences, and it seeks so many different things. You saw the circle of life. So if you think about it as your soul needs continuous meals, same way that your body needs continuous fuel. The body needs physical fuel in the form of food, and the soul needs fuel in the form of our primary foods. Continuous feeding of it. So you've actually, you know, whether you're conscious of it or you're not, you're doing what everybody needs to be doing. Everybody needs to be feeding their soul continuously. And that might be because we always say, and what we learned in nutrition school is that when you're so fed on a soul level, you forget to eat on a physical level. So you're almost like that perfect example of that. For those of you that don't know, Sandra can go the whole day and not eat anything at all. And she's not hungry and she's not tired, nothing. She has all the food ready in the fridge. It's like, I don't care. She's very, because she's very busy. Now we know why. Continue searching and feeding her soul. And it's exactly, you're like a textbook case, Yani. Although in your case, you know, we ended up a little bit undernourished, but, you know what I mean?
I'm trying. I'm working on it.
Working on it. So there's nothing wrong here at all. On the contrary, you're always going to have this curiosity in your life for seeking something new and seeking something that brings you joy. And even if it doesn't work out, it's the process. It's the curiosity and the interest and what got you there versus how it ended up. So don't stop and don't feel guilty. Just keep doing that.
You know, Dana, when you sent the module, and I was going through the questions, and it reminded me that I used to, now I know that was not joy, but I used to think that I got joy from getting things done. When things get done, then I'm satisfied. I'm even proud of myself. You know, I'm a form of ecstasy. But now, I mean, at this, you know, stage phase of my life, I know that this was not joy, and I wonder if this has to do with us being very programmed to masculine energy. Like, I need to get things done.
Yeah, that's very masculine.
I have this long list, to-do list, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, so well done me. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. So, you know, you're happy. But now I know that this was not joy nor passion. No, right? They were not.
This is productivity, which is a very, very masculine trait. To be very productive, to be very, you know, sort of like a train. You know, you're just going in one direction, making the stops until you reach the goal. Very goal-oriented, which has a purpose. So we're not saying we're going to throw that out, right? It does serve a purpose when it's needed, but it's not the feminine way. It's not what serves us necessarily 90% of the time. We can tap into that as needed, but if we are continuously in that energy, that, I mean, this is how all of us, maybe with exception of Sandra, how all of us have tapped out of what brings us joy. And that when we even consider then something, then automatically the masculine energy comes in. Well, does this make sense? Is this a productive use of your time? Is this the best use of your time on a daily basis? Like, what is the end goal of this if you're going to do that? We've all been working from this place, you know. So that's the goal, is to move back from that and just do what you want to do, just for the sake of doing it for you. That's it. I'm also really curious, how many of you here are firstborn?
I'm not. I'm the middle child. So
okay. It's also a very typical trait. Firstborn children, anyway, but we're all women here, so firstborn daughters who have more masculine traits, like to be the one who does everything right, you know, in the right way, very, very controlling, very worried about making mistakes. I mean, you don't have to be the firstborn to do that, but generally, if you take 10 firstborn women, you're going to find that all of them share these characteristics.
I was like that, but I'm one girl between two brothers. Okay, and I kind of liked the masculine energy, and I enjoy being told, you know, that you know at that time, like, you know, like, to be so smart, then because you're smart as a man, or you're efficient as a guy, or and I enjoyed, you know, hearing that.
Yeah,
I don't know, or maybe, I don't know, I was very close to my dad, so I sort of wanted to show him that, you know, I'm even better than the boys, you know, I could be more efficient, I could deliver more, I'm smarter, I'm faster. Could be that too.
Oh, I mean, no, I'm definitely, that played into it for sure. I think also daughters it doesn't matter whether you're firstborn or not, generally tend to be closer to their fathers, and we seek the approval, we want to make them proud, so that just naturally feeds into, doing and being productive, and look at my report card, and look what I've done at school, and look at all this, to get that, pat on the back, good for you. And yeah, definitely. Nermeen, that was my drive for 30 years, productivity list. I was drained. Yeah. I was the same, and I had a burnout. Yep.
Yes.
Me too. And this is what got me sick. So I take the yes. Oh yeah. That burnout, when we say that all disease is caused by two things, toxicity and deficiency, huge source of toxicity is stress. Stress that comes from being overworked, not living in alignment, lacking joy, lacking purpose, doing things just for the sake of doing it, and which causes a literal physical burnout, which means you've got this corrosive cortisol then, if we're looking biochemically, that's coursing through your body, that's literally eroding your cells, eroding your organs, eroding your systems. That's a huge source of toxicity. Stress. Yes. Yes, bravo on early retirement. Definitely. And early retirement, by the way, doesn't mean you're going to stop doing something. It just means you're not going to go to a 9 to 5 anymore. It doesn't mean you're not going to be, living your purpose. It doesn't mean you're not going to be creative. It doesn't mean you're not going to be putting something out there that is all you. It just simply means you're coming out of the corporate world. That's all that means. That's it. But you'll still might spend the same amount of hours every day just pursuing something different, or something that makes a bigger difference to you, perhaps, or where at the end of the day, it's yours, completely yours, versus somebody else. So reframe that also, and think about how you want to spend, those of us in our 50s and onwards, we don't really have. There's no guarantee that we've got another 50 years, right? God willing. So how do we want to spend this time now that we have that awareness, now that we know we have options? Marianne, go ahead.
I want to follow up on early retirement.
Yeah.
And I also went early. I am also early retired, and it was a process before that. I mean, maybe 6 months earlier or 8 months earlier, I started I started searching for hobbies and volunteer work, so that when after I have retired, I would continue on things I love. And I find it's a very it needs a lot of thinking when you want to go on early retirement, and at the same time also think about what you plan to do afterwards.
Why do you think it takes so much thinking?
I mean, for me, it took maybe 6 months or so.
Okay.
Because I was working usually from 7 till 4 or 5. And then I was so exhausted, and so, and then I thought, if I retire, I won't have this time. I mean, then I can do everything that I want to. And then I panicked a bit, because I thought, I will have so much time. What will I do at this time? And then slowly I came to the conclusion, first I need a few months to calm down, or rest and go down.
Yeah.
And then at the same time think how I will start to enjoy my hobbies. So for me, it was a stress in itself.
The uncertainty of it.
Because jumping from a full-day work and then on into a new phase where you are free and you can do everything you want. And if you don't have a hobby or something, then how to say, you will fall down in the pit.
Yeah. I've heard that before. I've heard women tell me that they as much as they might want to and really feel like it's the right thing for them to just stop working, they're really, really afraid of what will happen to them when they don't have, sort of the system. They don't
program
have
or
the
so.
program.
Yes.
Yeah. Where they don't know what am I going to do? Like I know that I get up, I get ready, I go to work. I'm home from work. Like and you've been on the system for years and years and years. So I think there's definitely it's a comfort zone. At the end of the day is what it is. And it's then leaving that comfort zone, like any comfort zone that you're going to leave, it's going to be very scary, of course.
It is.
Yeah.
And thank God I'm over it.
Right. And so what are you doing now? What did you discover are the things that you can do that, light you up and fill you up and fill up
I mean, living in Switzerland, we have so many mountains. And I feel myself free when we go out in the mountains, the fresh air, the nature. And it, for me, I have the feeling that it brings me nearer to God. I mean, up on the mountains, you are not far away from heaven.
Yes, yes. It is. I mean, is where we're meant to be.
Yeah, I like to go to the mountains and yes. Sorry?
Nature is where we're supposed to be, as humans. We work and city life is relatively new in terms of our evolution as humans. We weren't evolved or born to live in concrete and cities and be away from nature, which does, by the way, it's a big factor in depleting your joy.
It is.
Yeah.
It sets you. I mean, it sets me free.
Yes.
To go out of the city and somewhere in the mountains where less people are around, and so just walk in nature.
I love it.
Apart from that, when the weather is not good and we are at home, then I have my two other hobbies. One of them is stamps collecting. I collect.
Oh my gosh, such
Egyptian stamps, and I am happy as a kid when I get one that I don't already have.
You hear what she said? Happy as a kid. That's what we want.
And the other thing which also makes me happy as a kid, I am also working on our family tree.
Oh.
We have family members all around the world, and I get to be invited to weddings or gatherings, and for me, it's also. I am happy when someone gets married and someone gets babies, so I can update the tree.
Update the tree. I love it.
So yeah,
decide to do this. Like, what sparked the idea for that? For you to create the family tree?
Well, it's my great uncle. So the uncle of my mom, he used to travel throughout Egypt and go and visit all the churches and El Adiora and all these things. And he handwrote every name he found with the name Kuzam. So he had all the marriages, he had all the children, their children, and so on and so forth. He died, and then he made the very first family tree in the 60s. It was all handwritten in Arabic. And then another uncle continued till the 90s. And then after, it was also handwritten and also in Arabic. And then afterwards, with a few cousins, we thought, why not, if we translate all to English and at the same time update it as far as we can, or as far as we could. So we started 3 cousins. We made all the translations, the updates. We also put it in a tool. And then the 2 other cousins, they got bored, and now I have this job of trying to continue. And yeah, good. And Facebook was a very good thing for me because I found many family members. So, yeah,
This is a legacy project.
it is.
Yes.
And now I'm searching for someone who would take over slowly because I don't know if I'll have the patience, to go on. And now I am making a big update, so all the branches. And in the process, I'm asking everyone if they would like to take over a part. And yeah, we'll see.
Good luck with this. That's
Well,
an
thank you.
project. Yes.
It's a passion of mine. And
Yes.
as I said,
yes.
it makes me happy as a kid.
Yes. I mean, as long as it makes, that's what I'm saying. You can't quantify passion and joy. It's
No.
individualistic. It's just about what lights you up,
Yeah.
I mean, tell somebody else here to go and start a family tree and they might be like, this is
My God.
my God, like what is this? So there's no right or wrong. So but what we do, right, so often is that automatically we have to make a decision about if what we're passionate about is right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where especially with passion and joy, there is no such thing as right or wrong. There is no right way to do it or wrong way to do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And I would, if you could take like a screenshot of that, like how long is it? Is it like pages and pages, or is it like one big poster? Like, what does it look like?
Unfortunately, it's not one big poster because the family tree, I mean, my family tree or my family name started 1780.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then we came to know that we don't know what religion it was, but it was written that they became Catholic.
Okay.
Because of the Franciscan brothers who were in Akhmim.
Okay.
So the whole thing started from Akhmim, and then some went to many of them went to Cairo and so on. So we have about 20,000 names. And the thing is, we decided to also continue the female line, not only the male line.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, if someone else is from, let's say, Zikri family, no, let's say, a Kusam married into Zikri.
Okay.
So her children will be Zikri, but
Right.
we still continue it.
Okay. Okay.
So it gets bigger and bigger.
Bigger and bigger. Oh, wow.
It's like a big book or books. Every branch has its own chapters and yeah, and so on.
I mean, this has to be, I don't know, like you have to make sure this is preserved somewhere, like, beautifully bound, I don't know, taken care of, preserved. Like this is a massive, massive family legacy and heirloom.
It is, yeah.
Yes. That's fascinating.
We have them in a tool, and the tool generates PDF files.
Okay.
And these I get to send out to the family members because many did not want to have it online, because of security concerns.
Yes, yes.
So
there it is.
Yeah. Here I see Sandra is also into family tree and Egyptian stamps. So maybe we can change. We can
okay. There
exchange.
You go. I did not think I would find somebody else. Okay, bravo, Sandra, as well. It is amazing. Sandra.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, you definitely then have notes to compare, both of you, for sure.
Well, maybe we can find a relationship between her family and my family.
It's a small world.
Since all the families are intertwined.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Imagine.
Imagine, yeah.
That would definitely be very interesting. Yeah, you guys need to compare notes and see. Compare family trees and see. This is such, I mean, you guys, don't underestimate this moment of two people in a group who are both doing family trees.
And stamps.
And stamps, yes. Amazing. Love it. Sandra, I'll answer that for you if everybody's done sharing about joy and passion. Sandra has a question about detoxing.
I have just a little comment. I'm listening to everybody, and I couldn't but help thinking, oh my God, I'm still struggling with the fact that I can't even pinpoint one thing that I could say that brings me joy. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like maybe Nermeen when she said she found the exercise very hard. I still find the exercise very hard. I think the question that you also mentioned that you want to build a life that you don't want to escape from was, for me now, a very strong statement, because sometimes that's what I feel. I feel like as if I'm running away from the life that I currently have by traveling, by just not being present where I am right now because I'm not happy.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah.
But that's very, very brave to admit when at whatever point in our life we stop pretending and say, I'm not happy. That's very brave, Dina. We're all holding space for you right now with that. But this is going to be your catalyst. This is
and the thing is, I don't know where to start, right? Like, I don't know what to do. What do I need to do? Like, I journal, I think out loud, I talk to people. I know there's certain things that make me happy, but is that what I want, you know? What is, like, I don't know. I mean, it sounds maybe irrelevant, but it's just like when I heard you guys speaking and everything, it's just like, okay, what brings me joy? I can't put my hand on it, you know? I really can't. I'm really struggling with this, and I've been struggling with it not just like recently, but I think throughout my life. I cannot figure out what exactly that I need in my life to be. Alhamdulillah, a million times, I am blessed with so many things in my life. Like, I can't even mention, but at the same time, you're like, there's something missing. And I don't know what it is.
Do you feel like by retiring, you might perhaps create the space for that?
I hope so. I hope so. Like Marianne was saying, it's a decision that I've been like going back and forth with for the last maybe year and a half. I took a sabbatical after my sickness and everything for 2 years because I said, okay, I wanna stand back on my feet. I wanna be myself again and everything. But what is myself, right? What is it that my soul really needs at this point? It's a very interesting exercise what you've given us. Honestly, it's just like those wake up calls again that you get during your life, and it's just like you give yourself that time to maybe think, and then and like I'm writing a lot. I'm thinking a lot. I'm going to a lot of retreats and all that. but I still can't find that. Just like Siddhartha.
But what happened to Siddhartha in the end? It was about what?
He found himself somehow, you know, discovered little joys here and there, and discovered that, you know, that I think it's us sometimes that make it harder on ourselves, right? Like Sandra was saying, our minds keep putting those obstacles in our heads and saying that, you know, this is not what it is, but maybe my aspirations are too high, my expectations are too much.
Says
you know, maybe that's it.
Says who?
I don't know. I mean, the people around you, I guess. Sometimes.
It could be. It could be. There's a lot of conditioning that goes on, you know, in terms of what is enough. And
yeah,
what is enough, you know, if you you have a beautiful family, you have a beautiful home, you have everything, you know, in terms of the physical,
yeah,
you could ever need, why do you still feel incomplete?
I don't know.
Right? And people want to
Yeah.
make you feel guilty for feeling that, you know, as if the be all and end all of life is having a beautiful house and living well and being able to travel and do all of that. And those are all blessings, nobody's denying them, but not just because you have those things means you just stay satisfied at some level and stop a bigger, you know, pursuing of yourself, a pursuing of your higher self. That's when, you know, that's living at that's like being dead while you're alive. If you stop pursuing the things that bring you joy, the things that you love, you stop pursuing success, you stop pursuing you know, ambition, and that looks different for everybody. But the moment people stop doing that is when they stop living. What is it that makes you feel alive? And right now you've reached sort of that point where say maybe, you know, it's like your back is against the wall right now. You could have probably made all sorts of excuses before. You were busy, you were working, everything is you know, everything is a blessing in your life. But now there's something really, really deep inside of you that needs to get out. You have a deeper need that's just yours. And most of us here, you know, we're done. We've done the mom thing. We've done, you know, we've proved ourselves. You know, our kids are, you know, beautiful and independent and successful and married and about to have kids or had kids. We've really done and overachieved in this area, I believe, as mothers. And that can leave us a bit shaky when that's not really our role anymore. 100%.
Yeah.
You know, what is
I think that could be it too.
Yeah. The hardest part, I believe, of being a mother, being a parent, is getting to that point when you say to yourself, and it's a good thing, I'm not needed anymore. That means you've actually done your job properly, right? Can you imagine having a 30-year-old, you know, your kids are in their 20s and their 30s, and you still have to treat them as if they're 10 or a child? No, the hardest part, I think, is us teaching them how to be independent. But then when they get there, we have to then how to figure out how we're going to be independent as well. So
exactly.
Yes. So right now you're exactly where you should be, because you at least you're not denying what you're feeling. You're not saying, you're not downplaying what you're feeling. You're not trying to suppress it. You're not trying to say, you know, you're not trying to tell yourself, and as many women will, because it's very scary, I'll just be thankful and just stay put.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. This is just a big sign that there's a new version of you just waiting to come out.
Hopefully.
Give it space. Give
Yeah.
it space. Don't force it. Don't feel like it's something you have to sit and
Wait for it.
actively, intentionally like work on every day to figure out. Actually, sometimes the way it happens is when you just take a complete step back and literally just, I think truly when you've retired and you take that transition time that Marianne was talking about, there's a transition phase for sure.
Yeah.
That removing something, right? It's like decluttering. When we physically declutter, the energy in your house changes. Just does. When you remove things that are not needed, when you reorganize things, there is an energy. You create space for better things to come in. So I think the same thing can happen if you are every single day going back and forth to this job, and it's time for you to leave it, that's going to create a huge space for you, huge space that's ready to be created differently just by you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry for just like sharing stuff
No
like this.
apologize here. No apologies here, no judgments here. This is your safe space.
Yeah. It just got to me when, everybody started talking and it was like, oh my God, like I don't have this. I don't know where I stand,
Well, you don't have it right now, currently, on today's call, right? That doesn't mean that you're not going to have it.
No, I hope so. I'll find it,
Yeah. I mean, maybe if we had this group, right when Marianne was, retiring, she probably would have said similar things like you right now, but it's just everybody's in a different space, in a different place in their lives. Nothing right or wrong about it.
Yeah, agreed.
Nothing right or wrong about it. Everybody. But I think from my own personal experience, like when I realized, and mind you, this isn't something that's, even when you figure it out, let's say you figure it out next week, Tina. You figure it out next week, done. Then you figure out what brings me joy, what brings me passion, and then you pursue it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that in a few years, you're not going to find yourself back at the same place again.
True.
Because we're always evolving.
True.
We're always evolving and always coming out of a comfort zone. And we're always seeing ourselves differently as we go from one level of thinking. When I talk about it's a up leveling of your consciousness, and it can happen on a collective level. You reach one level of awareness, one way of thinking, one way of being, and then naturally it's become second nature. So it's time to go to the next level of consciousness. So if at least you can remind yourself of that takes the pressure off. That, if I have it figured out today, in 3 years, I'm probably going to have to figure it out all over again anyway. And there's comfort in that. Things are not, you're not ever stuck in one place.
Yeah, that's true.
Things are always changing and moving and evolving.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it is a big step. What doesn't? Yes, exactly. What doesn't work anymore? Exactly. How can you figure out what will work if you're not becoming aware of what doesn't work? Exactly. Nirmeen, did you want to say something also?
About the detachment things from sons or daughters. I just wanted to let her know that that's a hard one. That's not something that one can grasp or know how to handle in a week or two. Or I think that's it takes quite some time. Like I'm actually there now. So it takes time. So I just wanted to give Dina support and say it actually takes time. And for me, it's been a year and something, and I'm still working on it. And it's true, Dana, that we teach them to be independent, but then when they become independent, we get we're upset. We're very upset that they are.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but it's a work in progress. It's not an exercise, Dina, that you have to finish by a certain deadline. It's something it's a work in progress. Just take your time, and knowing what it doesn't make you happy is it's a big one for me. I was doing the same. When I was going out a lot, I was going to places a lot, thinking that the distractions, or I might actually learn something that might help me with my journey, but when it didn't, so I stopped doing that, and I started being with myself a lot. I think because before I was running away from myself.
Yeah.
So but it's just a trial and error. It's a trial and error, and it takes time. So thank you for sharing. Like, I want to thank you, Dina, for sharing, because it's not a very easy journey, man. I think it will happen someday, that something clicks with you.
Thank you, Nermeen. Honestly, it means a lot. Thank you.
Nihad, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just want to send you a big hug, Yadina.
Yeah.
From Egypt. Maybe you're homesick.
I think it's
maybe you visit us in Egypt.
ده
بصراحة يعني بصي
yes, coming inshallah, coming in September.
Yeah. Inshallah. Being abroad is difficult, by the way, and I lived abroad, but I was much younger, yani. But I think living abroad for such a long time it's not easy at all, being away from the family and all this. So that might also be partly what you're feeling now, is a bit homesick, شوية كده, mixed with some other stuff, يعني. Yeah, well,
it could be.
My main thing is I just wanted to send you a big hug, and وأقول لك يعني I'm happy that you were comfortable enough to talk to us about this, and I hope that at least today you might feel a bit better with some of the things you heard from Dana and Mariana and Nermeen. طبعا, she has a very good point. When your kids grow up and you feel they don't need you anymore, it's quite painful for me as well right now. But I have my little hobbies and stuff to keep me busy, and I hope that you will find something too, inshallah.
Honestly, I like this group, and I feel very, very comfortable speaking up. I don't feel, I've always also not felt shy sharing certain things in my life. And this group like is something like my comfort zone, kind of. So thank you everybody. Honestly, it just struck me that when everybody's speaking, is like, oh, where am I at this point, you know? That's why I felt like I wanted to share, and thank you, Nermeen, for telling me that I'm not alone as well, and Nihad at the same time, because it is hard. It is hard, but inshallah I'll get out of it.
Inshallah.
You will.
Yeah.
You will. I mean, I don't know how long it takes, but again, Barto, speaking from experience, you will not feel like this right this moment, you know, for long or forever. You know, this moment will go away. This moment, you know, no matter how long it takes, will go away. Wallahi, it will go away. And maybe a good place to start, you don't know right now what gives you joy, but yani whatever kills your joy, get rid of it. You know, look for joy killers, you know, or joy suppressors, وتخلصي منهم. You know, start with that. Eliminate the joy killers.
Exactly.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
that's a yes I would start there يعني طبعا if possible يعني and you already started actually when you shared this with us, and you're so brave, and we love you all,
Yeah, I love you guys. And I know I'm really, like I was saying last time on the call, I don't know when this group is gonna end. Like this was also something that I was happy to be on.
Yes. هو
So
الجروب is very therapeutic بصراحة يعني and it gives purpose, it gives purpose today, like,
yeah.
hey, I have a Zoom call, at whatever 5-7 today. So يعني حقيقي yes, yeah, uplifting. It is.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. No, alhamdulillah. Thank you guys.
Alhamdulillah. Dina, this is what you needed today. And there are no coincidences, right, in life. And like they always say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So this is what you needed to hear today. Potentially as you make this decision and as you're literally getting ready to retire, you needed this maybe, to buffer the beginning of your transition into that, and to know that you're supported and loved and cared for and not alone at all in this process. And to maybe today, when you go to sleep, in that moment that we all love, there'll be a little bit of peace just around knowing that this is supposed to happen to you. So instead of thinking this is happening to you, think that this is happening for you to help you get to that next phase of your life.
Yes, we'll do that.
All right. Anybody else have anything to share before we end today's session?
I have a question. Okay.
Please.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, this group on Facebook, it will continue to be available for us to chat, right? After the course, ولا إيه?
Technically, no. I always close all the groups once they're done. But see, I'm because this is a new group, it's a beta group, it's a testing group. Some of you have reached out to me with sort of questions as to what will happen once the group is finished. Maybe we can just keep it just sort of as support. Some of you have even suggested let's create a new reading list and let's do another 6 months with books and support, and maybe focusing on 1 or 2 primary foods. There's a few different primary foods that we haven't really even touched on. In all cases, none of this would happen before September, because I go on vacation in the summer in all cases. So I will just give myself a chance to sort of think about it. Because if I do decide to run the program again, also there'll be a brand new set of women who would come into, I wouldn't run it until January, in all cases, the new group. So there's just a lot of things for me to think about. There's definitely ways to keep, the current group. There's ways, let's just put it that way. I haven't decided what way, but there are ways. So we'll keep myself open to those options. That's it for now. Let me see. Sandra had a question. I know she left, but let me just answer this for her anyway. She wants to know if the detox will be able to help us get rid of the vaccine's effect that we got during COVID. So let me answer that on the group, because it's a longer explanation. I don't want to be here for too long. Sandra, I will put this in a post on the group for you. But the short answer is yes. Dina, we all see and hear you and can't wait to hear about what your joie de vivre persona is going to do in the next phase of your life on your terms. Yes, definitely. We're all here for you, Dina. We're all here for each other. It's
Dana, can I just add something?
Basma, yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Dina and Amira, you both kind of made me think about this. Do you remember the Wheel of Life that Dana shared with us back when? I don't know, Dina, if this is something that would help, but I just quickly looked it up, and it has like things like family and friends, significant other, career, finances. Maybe what Amira said about killing the things that don't bring you joy anymore, maybe you can identify them or pinpoint them through looking back at this wheel of life thing. And I can send you this list that I have, and it's no problem. But I just thought that might be something, because it's hard to sit alone and process. It's really difficult. And sometimes if you have something that might spark something in you, that would help a little bit.
Yes,
that's all.
please do, yeah, Basma, share it with me.
Okay,
Thank you,
I will.
Jamil.
I will.
Thank you, Basma. Okay. All right, ladies. Next week, we are the trilogy. I cannot wait for next week's call. Amira, why? ليه بس? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about, I mean, like, how much time, because a trilogy, يعني it's three big books with, as we said, you know, plots and subplots and characters with generational, you know, like where do we start and where do we, you know, and where do we land? Yes.
Don't worry. This is the masculine way, right? Don't worry about the how. We're just gonna come in here and we're gonna enjoy discussing this brilliant masterpiece that I cannot believe I have never read until now. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of myself. But yes, so very excited about that next week. And then we will have another call on joy and passion the week after that. And then only one more call after that, ladies. We will finish with I Saw Ramallah. That will be our final call to discuss that book and to celebrate being together, celebrate our time together, celebrate all of our wins, and share all of that for one last time before we take off for the summer. All right. That's it. I'll post the answer to Sandra's question tomorrow, and see you all, ladies, same time next week. Yeah, Basma, you can share this on the group, no problem. Yeah. All right. Okay, ladies, have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful evening, and see you all next week, inshallah. Take care.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you all. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.